Welcome to Point News TV. Before we dive into today's news, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest events in Nigeria. Let's get started with the top stories from October 1st, 2024. Nigeria celebrates 64 years of independence. Nigeria marks its 64th independence anniversary, with President Bola Tinubu delivering a national address. In his speech, he highlighted the progress made and promised reforms to tackle key issues like the economy, security, and unemployment. This moment was both reflective and forward-looking as the nation strives for unity amidst ongoing challenges. Nationwide protests against bad governance. Across major cities including Lagos, Abuja, and Ibadan, citizens participated in widespread protests, demanding better governance and an end to economic hardship. Organized under banners like Revolution Now, these protests saw a heavy police presence as demonstrators called for immediate government action to address inflation and insecurity. Public holiday declared for Independence Day. The federal government declared October 1st a public holiday to honor Nigeria's independence. In a statement, the Minister of Interior encouraged citizens to use the day to reflect on Nigeria's achievements and challenges while promoting national unity. World Bank approves $1.57 billion loan for Nigeria. To support critical sectors such as healthcare and infrastructure, the World Bank has approved a $1.57 billion loan to Nigeria. This move aims to boost the economy as the country faces growing development challenges exacerbated by inflation and rising living costs. Heavy security presence during protests. With anti-government protests planned, security forces were deployed in large numbers across major cities. Key locations like Eagle Square and Abuja were placed on high alert as protests coincided with Independence Day celebrations. Tensions ran high, with concerns over potential clashes between protesters and law enforcement. Fuel price increases trigger widespread discontent. Ongoing fuel price hikes continue to strain household budgets, sparking further protests. Citizens expressed growing frustration over the removal of fuel subsidies, which has led to sharp increases in transportation and living costs across the country. Flooding crisis in southern Nigeria. Flooding has devastated several southern states, particularly Lagos and rivers, displacing thousands and damaging critical infrastructure. While emergency relief efforts are underway, the floods have reignited calls for better disaster management strategies. Nigeria's new Chief Justice takes office. Justice Olukayode Kekere-Ekun was officially sworn in as Nigeria's new Chief Justice. She has promised to uphold judicial independence and push for critical reforms in the country's legal system, emphasizing the need for respect for the rule of law. Government ramps up anti-corruption campaign. As part of the Independence Day announcements, President Tinubu reaffirmed the government's commitment to fighting corruption, particularly within the oil and gas sector. High-profile investigations are ongoing, signaling a stronger stance against corruption in public office. Biafra separatist movements persist. Southeastern Nigeria continues to face unrest due to Biafra separatist activities. Despite efforts by security forces to restore calm, tensions remain high, particularly in states like Enugu and Anambra, where separatist movements continue to grow. Makurdi hosts large-scale Independence Day protest. In Makurdi, Benue State, hundreds gathered at IBB Square to protest against rising economic hardship and insecurity. The protests reflected growing frustration in the region over the government's handling of these critical issues. Agriculture sector reforms announced. In a bid to strengthen local food production, the government launched new initiatives aimed at boosting Nigeria's agricultural sector. These reforms are expected to create jobs, reduce the reliance on imported food, and improve food security across the nation. Naira depreciation raises economic concerns. The Naira continues to fall against major currencies, worsening inflation and increasing the cost of living for ordinary Nigerians. The Central Bank of Nigeria is exploring further monetary policies to stabilize the economy, but challenges remain high. Reports of police brutality amid protests. Human rights groups have raised concerns about the heavy-handed response of security forces to protests in some cities. Footage of alleged police brutality has circulated on social media, raising questions about the need for police reform and accountability. Peaceful protests in Ilorin. In Ilorin, Kwara State, the Independence Day protests were largely peaceful. Demonstrators gathered to express concerns over rising inflation and unemployment, but unlike in other regions, there were no major confrontations with the police. Tinubu unveils new infrastructure plans. On Independence Day, President Tinubu outlined ambitious plans to modernize Nigeria's road and rail infrastructure through public-private partnerships. These projects are expected to create jobs and improve the nation's transportation network, providing a much-needed economic boost. Northern Nigeria faces increased insecurity. Banditry and insurgency continue to plague northern states where communities remain vulnerable to attacks. Despite military interventions, the situation remains dire as violence escalates, prompting calls for a more robust security strategy. Technological innovation drives new economic strategies. The Tinubu administration has introduced plans to accelerate technological innovation in sectors like healthcare, education, and finance. These efforts aim to foster a digital economy and provide jobs for Nigeria's youth in the growing tech sector. Nigerian diaspora returns for Independence Day. Thousands of Nigerians in the diaspora returned home to celebrate Independence Day, attending events across the country. This annual tradition highlights the enduring bond between Nigerians abroad and their homeland, as well as their contributions to national development. Mixed reactions to Tinubu's Independence Day speech. Reactions to President Tinubu's address were mixed. While some praised his plans for economic recovery and reform, others criticized the speech for not offering immediate solutions to Nigeria's ongoing challenges, particularly in areas like inflation and unemployment. That's all for today's top stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates from Point News TV. Stay tuned for more in-depth coverage of Nigeria's most pressing issues.